on our last session. 6 weeks have gone by, and I don't know if you're like me, but it went by super fast. And I couldn't be more grateful for all of you on here. I know that this has been quite a great group, very interactive, and we've got a lot of great stuff that has come from this. So I'm appreciative of being here for last module, living a joyful life. And this one, again, I'm going to situate it again. Probably my favorite. I mean, this is what it's all about. You know, the number one thing that we always try to coach with our athletes, and then even some of the stuff that I do on the side with other high performing people that are looking to just maximize their life, is understanding that in achieving or living out the life that you really want and deserve, you got to be able to adapt and be able to handle change. And that's where this course comes in. But all of that, you could have the skill set, you could have the mindset, but if you're not living a joyful life, if you can't sit back and reflect on it and say you're living really with a full heart of joy, then it's all kind of for nothing. And so what we're trying to do now is not only give you the skill set of being able to adapt to change, being able to live out and push through some of the bigger challenges of life. What we're doing now is trying to really kind of bring overall joy into the picture here. So like I do every single week, recap of the previous weeks before, just understanding that this is everything's about a system in place, and each week builds off each other. We talked about it the first week, understanding body, mind, and spirit. It's the base of that pyramid. So important to understand where you are from a physical place. Mental side, where you're at as far as your perspective. How do you see the world? How do you at this point contend with some of the biggest challenges of your life? And then that other one, the last one, is spirit. Spirit to me is values. It's who you are deep down inside. When the shit hits the fan, so to speak, when the storm comes in, what are the characteristics and who are you that's going to be the one that you want to lean on? We talked about week 2 being the strength part of it, building up our body and mind, making sure that we're not only physically strong and mentally clear, we're building a system around that. Everything from waking up in the morning, getting ourselves locked into a great morning routine, to going to bed at night, recapping it. Remember, we're controlling the bookends of the day to hopefully feed the system in the beginning or in the middle of the day. So therefore, we can have a really better mindset looking at all the different challenges that we may face. Week 3 is Flux Vita, my own personal made up term, but it kind of symbolizes and kind of illustrates the lifestyle. It's not that life is going to be easy. We all have challenges, some more and some less. But the way of handling it is more of a flow. It's a dance. That's what Flux Vita is all about. It's not being rigid, and it's being able to adapt and continue to keep overcoming. Week 4 was all about having a team around us. We talked about the people in our lives. We sent messages. I encourage you all to kind of write letters. Anybody do that yet, by the way?
No.
That's what we need. We got to get some handwritten letters going out here some point. But then week 5, we looked at last week. It was all about the stress agility. How do you actually handle stress? You know, the different techniques, from different breathing techniques to being able to sit back and, you know, just kind of relax on there. And so I wanted to open it up this week with that question of are there any things that you took from last week and tried to implement it into this week? I had a couple people message me about the basic sitting in traffic deal. I think that's like the common deal of, we sat in traffic and then I was able to just sit there and be mindful of the fact of, take a breath, turn the volume up on the radio, let's connect. Maybe I'll pick up a phone call. I had a Mike from, I think it's Arkansas, that wrote in and told me that in an email. And then a Pam does the box breathing, which is totally awesome. Starts the day with that, which is really, really kind of cool to get the entire system going and locked in. How about any of you? Anything that from last week that you were able to just kind of pay more attention to? But you know, maybe the kids yelling, jumping on planes, jumping out of planes. Yeah. Anything you guys brought mindfulness on that?
The breathing?
Yeah.
Noticed I do that a little bit more. Almost sitting, not relaxed and not like stern, almost just like with your back straight somewhere, just kind of like at calm, call it at peace. everything's all over the place. Instead of grabbing onto this, shut it down, couple deep breath, let whatever's bouncing around bounce around. So I can picture like a bouncy ball in a room. So I feel like my head half the time. Let the ball just stop bouncing at a certain point and just do the breathing, whether it's I do box breathing and then I feel like I get too, wait, was that four? Was that three? I just try to do like a call,
Yeah, you get stressed out about your counting then too, right?
something more of like a frequency, like it, uh,
Yeah.
and do that. And I just pick it has an effect, whatever the proper language is. I don't know to what extent, but I feel like whatever I apply my thought to after that is more effective than doing the bouncy ball approach and just ignoring it.
There's a great breathwork app called Breathwork.
Okay.
Uh, God, I got a new phone and everything logged out. Um, I'll have to I'll show you this here. This is a great thing because, dude, I was the exact same way with breathing. Like I sit in there and I'm going 4 count, and then I'm like, am I on four? Am I on three? Am I on two? And then all of a sudden get caught up in that and not actually sitting in the present moment.
Yep.
But this app called Breathwork, there has to be 500 different kind of breathing techniques. But what it does is it just walks you through. It gives you the cadence to it, and all you got to do is just stay with it. And it's amazing to jump into a midday little deal where you're just sitting for 5 minutes, doing 5 minutes of a 5 count breath in, 5 count breath out, and it's unreal what it does to reset your body, your mind, your mood, and make you really really have some great effort throughout the rest of the day without having a high level of stress. So I'll drop that in to make sure you all know. But I think it's only like $20 a year, not only, but $20. My wife will yell about that $20. But that $20 a year isn't too bad, and you definitely get a lot out of it. Anybody have anything else?
Does that app work on airplane mode?
It does, yeah. It's great. So that's it. That's a great question. So when you get anxious in the air, just turn that sucker on. Yeah, it kind of downloads to your phone. So, uh, yeah, we're gonna get you that app. I'm gonna tell you what. I do want to go back to Dave. I know you're eating, so if you can't talk, don't worry about it. Um, but breath work is interesting because a lot of people that I've worked with that do breath work, you'll say, hey, you should use breath work when you get stressed, right? Like Rhonda's getting ready to fly, so hey, Rhonda, let's take a breath in, like take a breath out, and it kind of works, but it really doesn't have that great of an effect early on. It's all this training you have to consistently do under low level stuff, and what I mean by that is if you're anxious about getting on a plane, don't decide to start doing breath work before you're getting on a plane because that crap isn't going to work. And so if you do start it though and you get a little anxious in a morning hour or there isn't even any anxiety, but you just want to set your mood a little bit more deliberate, make sure that you're continually doing that in times of relative peace. So therefore you can build up the skill set so that when you got a call on it, you're able to kind of actually call on it and make it happen. And again, that's a major point of this entire course is that we're training right now for when the big things hit. It's the idea of what you build up in a storm or what you build up before the storm will be how you respond when the storm hits. And so we're always bringing that mindset, that skill, and that strength to be able to handle it. Joe, before I keep blabbing on there, anything else? Anything dealing with stress?
Not with stress, but the breathing. I was thinking of a couple examples. I've been watching the College World Series. I like college baseball. Baseball players as a team practice breathing all the time.
Yeah.
Every batter that comes up to the plate, every batter will take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And it's just second nature.
Yep.
And it's to calm you down.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And so
it's
they couple that with other things too. So they do the breath of that big breath in, big breath out. But then there's a couple baseball players that talk about it, and there's many more, but this is a great example, is they look at either
Up too.
the third base foul line or the first base foul line in the top of it. So if you see them, they'll get up to the plate or they'll get up before they step in the batter's box. They'll take a big breath, and then they'll look at the top of that third base foul post because in every ballpark you're going to have a foul post there. And what that does is it's an anchor to a moment of either gratitude or a moment of calmness. And so by them seeing it, them practicing the breath, when they step up to the plate, it brings them back to that state where they're relatively calm and able to go out there and just swing the bat and not be caught up in the fact that last out in ninth inning, they need to score. There's a guy on third that needs the go ahead and winning run. So it's an interesting idea and so powerful in changing our complete mood dynamic when we're going into high stress environment. So it's great observation. Got anything on there?
No, I think you're nailing it. And like kind of with the baseball, or I like that. Like you got to practice breathing in a calm situation and be ready. That lets you, I guess if you practice it, you get calm. And then when you really need it, it's just a reflex, right? It's a reflex to a couple box breathing and you're bad. Boom. Oh, this isn't so bad. I was really nervous about what XYZ happening, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool.
That's the nature of all of this. Is just what you practice right now will be the thing that shows up when the levels of stress go. And like in business, I mean, when you're negotiating business, when you're doing anything, that's it. You teach it, you learn it at a lower level of stress, where even if you goof it up, it's not that big or demanding. But when you do put yourself in the boardroom in front of an area that is a higher demand, you're ready and you're ready to rise to that occasion. And that's a big thing that I really try to emphasize is that every bit of research, everything that is shown is that you just don't rise to the occasion. Like if you're put on the spot to be in a boardroom to run a meeting or some things happen, it's just not magical that all of a sudden you're going to rise and be able to, pick the car up and take it off the kid, even though I know that does happen, but that's kind of an extreme area. But the idea of all of this is build up the person before the storm hits, and then all of a sudden you're able to contend with it more. Not that you're not going to sweat, not that you're not going to cry, not that you're not going to feel heartfelt, but at least you'll be able to contend with it more. Anything else on there? Good. All right, let's. Oh, good, Rhonda. Sorry.
I had one other thing about too. One thing I do for flying is that when I'm riding in the car, I close my eyes and I can feel the bumps on the road. So, and I'm in a calm situation because I'm in the car. So when it starts to get bumpy on the plane, I just try to close my eyes and think of being in the car.
Yeah. Visualization brings you back. That's great. That's a great technique. Oh yeah. I like that idea. Could do that with so many different areas of life too. Yeah, really cool. Which, I mean, Ron, I hope this only helps your anxiety with the plane, but statistically speaking, more danger, right? Like, I mean, you're on that plane, you're in a safe kit, like, so, I mean, so there we go. But I like that idea. All right, so listen, let's jump into tonight. Tonight is all about living a joyful life. Changemaker 6, man, made it all the way through. All right, but module 6, this comes down to what is, it's all about living this joyful life. But I want to start off the question tonight with what is joy? What does joy even mean? We hear it a lot, we see it a lot. It's obviously an area of our lives that we really want to have. I don't think you could talk to anybody that's there like, stay away from that. But what is joy? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? What is that? Anybody want to take a crack at that?
I could jump in. I think it's each person's a little different with it. I think it's being in the moment and recognize, at least for me, is being in the moment and recognizing that as if there's nothing in front in the future, there's nothing in the back, that your mind is like almost like the kid splashing there. It could be a 5-minute joking around with the group. It could be a 30-second, oh, I was just thinking the same, that time stopped. That's all that exists is that activity. And there's obviously a positive, call it enjoyment, that's associated with it. That's how I guess could envision joy. It's just a natural way of you're in the moment and positivity is all that's going on, whether shared or not.
And it's almost, it sounds like, okay, first of all, you got to get to the present moment, which we talked about. We'll talk about it even more because it is such a powerful moment. But then when you're here, you're not sitting there wondering about like the next political issue. You're not wondering about, you're sitting in a puddle, you're splashing, and you're not worried about getting wet and what's going to happen in the future of, man, do I got to get a shower? Or is it like this, that? Where was this water beforehand that I'm jumping in right now? It's like, it's just like, no, we're in this moment, we're locked in, and I'm feeling the wetness and the freedom of being and living like a kid all over again. Yeah, it's pretty fun. That's pretty joyful. I mean, I don't think anybody could argue with that. I also think, and you did touch on something else, enjoyment, which that's interesting. I don't have anything on that tonight, but it is an interesting idea. So it's almost like the act of being joy or act of joy is the enjoyment aspect to it. Like the enjoyment is the splashing. Is that what you're saying?
I guess maybe the ride is joy and the train's the enjoyment.
All right.
It's the ride through the town of joy. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to go back to that because that's an interesting idea. I haven't had anybody over the years bring that idea, but it is this two different areas, but they both correlate so much. Dave, you're like a freaking great philosopher, dude. I like that.
Yeah, useless information just bouncing around his head all day. I do have to pop off at 5:30. I apologize for that. I tried to get as much as I can. I can't get that out of the way. So you see me just drop off. That's why.
Yeah, you bet. Anybody else? What is joy? What does it mean to them?
That's a good question, right? And I like the philosopher from Tresco, right? So that's good. But I think it's fluid,
Wait,
Tom.
wait, Joe, wait, listen. Let's not say Dave Marquez is from Tresco. That's a very prideful area up there.
Oh, okay.
Hazleton right there. And
Uh,
my wife is yelling in the kitchen right
I,
now.
I,
I
I
stand corrected.
I'm Hazelton.
But
Ooh,
joy is fluid, Tom.
Yeah.
And it some of it's based on your expectations of an event, right? If you're a baseball player again, right? You might take great joy in hitting a home run, a single. There might have been a time when had great joy in that single, but now it's an expectation. Uh, I I just think it varies from experience in life to experience in life. I said one time to one of my children, I hate to say this, I said, I wish one time you could see the eyes of this kid playing baseball through my eyes, because a grandparent doesn't see anything but good.
That's it.
And your joy just that they're out there. Their parents, they could be going nuts, right? So I think it varies. Obviously, this week Paul coming home from the hospital was a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But the little things bring joy. His wife I should yell at him for this, but his wife just told me they went to the store shopping today. This guy had a heart transplant 2 weeks ago. Um, but that brings a lot of joy, right?
I like your angle with the lack of expectation, if that's what you're saying. If you remove expectation, it's just that. It's that event, that whatever.
Yes, if you set joy against expectation all the time, you could be disappointed more often than not.
Absolutely.
So I think it's based on a lot of expectation goes into it.
I just could not agree with you more. I always say it is I have no expectations. I have no every day that I wake up and my wife is still with me, I say I am the most I just am so over the top joyful. Well, not all the time because sometimes she yells at me a lot, but the fact is like I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting Penn State to keep me working. I'm not expecting any of these things. So every day that I get it, there's such a heightened level of joy because I'm not expecting that every morning you wake up and you're grateful for the fact you still got breath and you're still able to breathe and your heart is pounding and you don't have the expectations because you don't think like you just don't expect it. It really does allow you to have that higher level of joy for really a lot of the more maybe simple things. Sorry, Raz, were you jumping in?
Oh, my dog, we needed to go for a little walk. But yeah, the contentment, like everybody's at different stages of their life, and I'm sure when I was younger, um, I was never satisfied and really driven, and therefore not happy because, you know, trying to make a life. But then the joy was the effort, right? As the practice, the whether you're a baseball player or a runner or a wrestler, like the journey was, if you could know it now, like the journey's what's where you have the joy.
Yeah.
Whether it's going good or bad, as long as you know you're giving it your best, you need to just be very um have a lot of gratitude for that. And that's what I learned in the first course, a lot of going to bed with like, hey, today wasn't so bad no matter what happened.
Right.
My wife's still here. I'm like you, I'm lucky. Like as long as she's still here and supportive and or what have you. So just that contentment that you're doing the best you can. Or even if you know, like, oh, I messed up today, I wasn't my best, but you know what, tomorrow I'm going to learn from today,
Yeah.
and like I am okay with where I'm at.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially young. I talk to a lot of high schoolers, and this is a major thing. Like the idea of these high school kids with sport or just academics itself. Like there's such high levels, and they feel this expectation not only coming from parents but from society itself. So they just live in this moment of never really being joyful because they're never celebrating. They're always worried about what the next expectation is and trying to live up to it. And the hard part is that it's not coming from here. It's not coming from them. Many times it's this outside telling them. And when you actually get them to sit down and tell, like, just write down 3 things that you really want to be successful at, you really want to really enjoy doing, they have a hard time doing it because even the ones that are driven by sport, many of the stuff that they start labeling is I mean, they're all geared around what that coach said. They're all geared around what a parent said, and none of them are actually with some major their own personal goals in there. So yeah, I think all of this is exactly when you strip it all away. So we talked about this, and I don't have many of these words were actually already were said in here, but joy is that state of mind that is it's not dependent on external circumstances. So the expectations, the idea of success or failure, it's an interesting idea in my own personal life because of the accident. Everything is surrounded with will you walk again? Like, oh, you're gonna walk again. You're gonna be you're gonna be, and they even had like, I mean, I don't say it to brag, but they even did videos, and they're like, he'll be the one that walks, and so obviously I'm not walking right now, but like I'm living really a really fun full life because my expectation wasn't walking, it wasn't anything, it was just every day I could control 2 things in my life, and that was my attitude and my effort that I was putting forward. And when I was able to put that out there each and every day, living in the present moment, not worrying about why I took that bike ride, not worrying about if I'd ever walk again, I just lived in this place of joy. Like that's where I'm still living. And I think a lot of what you all have said is exactly what kind of gets defined as that. Um, Joy can be defined as a state of peacefulness and contentment. I think Raz said that. This place of it's not complacency. That's the other part is contentment and complacency, way different things. But when you're content on where you're at in life, you're still driven. You're still up early. You're still working your ass off each and every day. And that contentment, it gives you that set of peace, but it also gives you a lot of clarity. And when you're able to have the mixture of that, poof, there's almost nothing you can't overcome. So yeah, great answers.
This one might sound a little weird, Tom,
Yeah.
but it took a long time to get to this point. And maybe it has to do when you live a longer life, right? But I found myself transforming from joy in myself to being satisfied in myself, joy from others.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If I hit that home run, I'm satisfied in myself. If I see somebody else hit that home run, I take great joy in seeing that.
That's really cool.
Or stepping back and maybe you taught somebody something, maybe you helped mentor them, maybe you You gave them a little break somewhere along the line, a little push, right? And the joy comes in seeing them achieve what they want to achieve. That's the real joy.
Did you,
Nodding yourself.
was that something that you had a transition as far as an age of your life? Was it just an eye-opening? Like, how did you come to that awareness?
Was a time when the world would spin around me, right? Everything was about me.
Mhm.
You know, I wanted to hit third. I wanted to hit cleanup. I wanted to hit 400. You see some kids when the soccer coach says, you are not going to score goals, but you're going to be the top assist guy on the team, or you're going to play defense, right? And you start to see that kid take satisfaction in something that they weren't being satisfied. You observe it. You could just tell they're getting joy out of it. And that brings joy to you, at least in my life.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more.
That's money.
Yeah.
That is like so on the money.
Uh, yeah.
It's
When you're able to put it outward and you're trying to make the people around you better, man, that's fulfilling. Super, man, that's good stuff. We should just end it there.
but do it in an anonymous way
Right.
Yeah.
when you don't want any of it brought to you.
Hmm.
And you just watch it play out. Such a joyful thing.
God, powerful, huh? Very, very good. I appreciate the insight on that.
By the way, I hate to tell you guys, you don't learn that till like you're after 60. After you screw everything else up in life.
Well, hey, that's why you're here tonight to teach us youngsters.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
we're ahead of the curve now. Well, thanks for sharing that. One small thing that brought you joy this week. I mean, we just I don't know if we could answer this question. Oop. If you want to jump into it, but this is a question I ask everybody. But usually we don't have such a talking points right now. If anybody wants to jump in, just to recognize one thing that they maybe have found joy in this week, knowing that it is this state of mind that could change with every single person in every single situation. But is there anything that anybody wants to just throw out there?
I could throw it out quick and I'll pop off. My daughter, we went to a pool and there's like the diving board's like maybe 2 or 3 feet above the water.
Yeah.
Well, she's jumped off a diving board that's like 2 inches above the water. She didn't recognize it, got up to the edge. It was like, whoa. And I just could see in her face go from, I'm scared, I'm going back to, I'm going to do this. It was like this something maybe that between me and her mom taught her on how to do things, have that, it was like slow motion. Just watch. She didn't do anything crazy. Just jumped under the water. Awesome. That somebody else enjoyed. And you could tell when she popped up, there was this not excitement for the diving board, but this excitement of, I think I just accomplished something.
Awesome.
I'm sorry to cut short, guys. I tried everything I can. Great seeing everyone. I'll pop off and I'll look for the notes afterward. Tom, thank you for everything.
See that, buddy.
Good seeing you, Dave.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool. It goes back to kind of what Joe's saying, though. You start seeing that joy, and you start seeing it in the family member, the person you're coaching, the people that you're around, and when you start seeing that, man, it does really just light you up because there's only so many things you could do to bring joy, but to be able to impact others, wow, super powerful. This one again, we really kind of locked down a lot of things in that early couple. That early talk. But what does a joyful life look like for you? What did it look like maybe, Joe, when you were talking about before you get post 60 and now all of a sudden there's a whole different level, but some fundamentals of maybe the better question is what have you learned that's given you more joy throughout life now than maybe some of the ways you lived before? It sounded like when Raz was talking earlier was maybe in the early stages, he was still getting joy in the process, but maybe he came to a more of an awakening now because of kind of seeing things different ways. And Ron, that same kind of deal, like the evolution of where you've been to where you're at now. Are you living a more joyful life now? And what was some of the things that you end up finding that really became impactful for you?
I think joy, like I used to find it in things like, raising my kids and all that. And I think what I'm trying to learn, at least from this course, is to be intentional, like not to just wake up and say, well, how do I feel? Like to make a conscious decision to be joyful and grateful.
God, it's so powerful. Right there. That's it. It's not how do I feel? It's I'm going to feel this way. That's I'm so happy you brought that up because that's what we have to understand about. That's what this course is based on is that I'm in control of this. There's certain things in my life I'm not control of, but the way I think, the way I want to see the world, what I want to see in the world, I'm in control of. I don't have control of what is all the time happening, but I am going to be in control of how I respond. I'm going to be in control of my attitude. And those are really, really powerful ideas. And when you're able to do that and you're able to practice that over and over again, you will start continually building in control. You'll start building in this idea of joy because it gives you agency in the world. And when you have agency and you have the practice of gratitude, they're this perfect mixture of really feeling like you're living life at the highest level. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and that is really, really, really great. So how we live a joyful life, all right? Anchor myself to the moment. This idea right now of living in the present. It's controlling the things that are in our control, and then it's continually cultivating that mindset of gratitude, of humility, of kindness, of just being able to put that out into the world. And a lot of these things are the attitudes that we're emphasizing out in the world. We're pulling in and what we're grateful for, but the humility part is not only the humble nature of being or having humility, but it's also this a way of being around others, being around people, and knowing that you don't have all the answers, and you have this mind of curiosity, and that mind of curiosity keeps you growing. A mind of curiosity and that growth also comes with more kindness. The way you end up talking to people, the way you end up interacting with people, you end up becoming much more of a present human that is literally there to make others better. And so that's what living life of a joyful life is all about, at least in my belief, right? I had to throw this in here because this is the most joyful creature on the planet. This is my dog Dex, and I'm telling you, it was the other day. It was funny. We have construction happening at our house, and the construction worker, Dex just loves this guy. I mean, absolutely loves this guy. And Krista ended up going out of town with Dex, so they weren't here. And myself and the construction worker both said when Dex is not in the house, there's this whole level of energy that isn't present. Like it's just this weird feeling of joy. And Krista was here. She ended up coming back, but she dropped them off at her mom's. And it's this idea that when you really live in a joyful life, when you literally are forgetting about the fact that mom and dad left and you're worried about when they're coming home, but you only care the fact that they walk through the door and they literally, he's going to wiggle his ass and just be excited. That's one of the most fulfilled, joyful feelings ever. And an animal, they just understand that. And that's what's really powerful, especially about a dog. Now, this is one thing that I always tell people. So, do you understand where they get how they say like a dog's life is 1 year or is equal to 7 years of a human life? You ever hear of how they come up with those numbers? It's, I know, let me tell you. I know Rhonda has heard this, so we'll hear it. So an average human lives for like 84 years, I think it is. An average dog lives for about 12 years. 12 goes into 84 about 7 times. So that's just general roundabout math on there. I'm wrong on the math, but just general equation on there. And so what that means is that dog's life is much less. But what it equates out to is the fact that every time a dog lives 1 day, it's equal to 1 week of our life. So every day that passes, it ends up being this equation of 1 week in their lives completely goes by. And so the reason behind that, and this isn't fact, but the idea of why a dog is so joyful is because they don't have time to hold a grudge. They don't have time to worry. They only care about the present moment of what they have in that life because their life they recognize is fleeting really fast. Now, again, is that really a theory or is that real? I don't know, but I do like to live on that. And the idea, the other part of it is understanding that Every time that you see your dog sitting on the couch, it encourages you to go over and give a little hug to the little sucker because it is really powerful. Their lives are really fast. So, all right. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to anchor to the present moment. We're trying to be in this place that we talked about a lot through Flux Vita is and Dave brought this up too, is like, how do we anchor ourselves right here, right now? Because really, this is a skill that I'll keep going back. But I could tell you neuroscience, I could show you all this kind of research. I could get the highest achievers in the world. It all comes back to trying to teach people how to continually anchor themselves to the now, in the present moment. And really, some of the best ways are, again, they're starting that morning routine with getting yourself into a breath, but then also locking yourself into this moment right now, right here, and feeling what it feels like to breathe breath in this moment itself, right? The big part of this is understanding that in the present moment, we have to come to the expectation of knowing that there's a common theme that we all have. There's one thing that we're all connected by is that we are not getting out of here alive, right? Face the fact, memento mori, and I'll pull that up there again. Does anybody know what memento mori means? Definition wise?
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do, but I've been through your course before, so
Well, you can take it away. You want to share it?
no, let somebody else take a stab at it. That maybe does.
Memento mori. Anybody want to take a stab? I don't have my coin. So memento mori is basically the reminder that you're gonna die. That there is, as crazy as it may sound, it's just that friendly reminder that says you can leave this life today. So let it be I can't think of the words I'm trying to say right now with it because I have this great coin that was my reminder, and it's not on me right now. But let that be how you act, how you talk, how you interact with life, because you just don't know what the next hour is going to bring. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring if you will have it. And so memento mori is a great way to understand that the only thing you have right now is that present moment. What this does, memento mori, is incredibly powerful because what that does is a great way to reflect on the fact of our impermanence. The fact that we know this, the fact that we're not getting out of here, what we want to do is we want to maximize this day, this moment. The fact that we got breath, we got to really hone in on the fact of how powerful that is. It shifts our perspectives to the priorities in our lives. And this is something that continually changes. As I said, I talked to there's a lot of I talked to a lot of high schoolers, but then I've talked to a lot of people. I'm doing a lot with well, actually, Joe, I'm going to be coming out to see you all next week with the
Yeah.
alumni, with Penn State alumni. Oh, and Rhonda got to speak down with her group down in Jacksonville or Daytona.
Jacksonville.
No. And Raz, so if you want to go next week, let me know. Wednesday. So, but this idea is across the board is that our perspectives on our priorities, they constantly change. And maybe to Joe's point is that who he was before, and then his priorities, and then how he reflects on who he is now, they constantly change. But our perspective on those priorities, making sure that we realize that we have to live them as best as we can to be able to really hone in on the now. Because putting off stuff till tomorrow, you just never know if it's going to come.
There's a lot of stuff there, Tom. I also believe, right? And I think you're saying this anyway. You have to prepare for the present.
Mhm.
You know, if you're going to go into some kind of a weightlifting competition, you better do your reps before that you get on that bench, right?
Sure.
Or before you toe the line in a race, you better have your miles in. You better, or you give the speech. You better be prepared. And so I think you have to live your life, or try to anyway, to prepare for the present.
Do you have any suggestions on how to prepare for the
Well,
present?
I can't avoid this totally. I can't. But try to live it without regrets. And these regrets don't have to be major, right? Oh, I didn't get to see you playing that ball game.
Yeah.
Or, I decided not to talk to a sibling for a couple years, right?
Right.
Then you have a regret you can't erase. Or I regret I should have studied this, and I could have had that. So we could live life and have a lot of regrets, which you have to carry along with you. And when you get to a moment in life when, not you pass, but somebody else passes, the fewer regrets you have, you find yourself able to deal with things a little bit better. You don't have to deal with the regret. You could deal with the loss. You could deal with the memory. You could deal with the being grateful, and not deal with regret. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so staying in the joy, staying in present, it's not always easy. It's hard work, uh, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. And this is open to everybody, but when you start catching yourself scanning, getting out of the present moment, because this is natural, this is how we are. We're constantly scanning forward, backwards, we're all over the place. Do you all have any tricks that you use to kind of bring yourself back to the present? And to Joe's point, all of this is a skill set. I mean, we default to some of these bad behaviors. It's easy to default to a lot of bad behaviors. It's the nature of life, but to be intentional, to eat better, is a lot harder than to eat crappy. To live or to sit on the couch is easier than to go out and ride a bike. And there's many things that the harder choice is the better choice. Living in the present is the natural hard choice because it's easy to be in the past and have all them. So any ideas of how to do that?
I'm a list maker.
Mm.
Like when I'm like, oh, I got like a ton of stuff to do and not a lot of time. How am I gonna get it all done? First, you take a couple breaths. I'm like, all right, what's most important? I'm gonna write that down. What's less important? What can I delegate? Who can I get to help me?
Yeah.
And the most important thing, I am gonna work on that right now, and I'll have my other stuff and I'll cross off the list. That's you know, a great way. And the other thing you said too, though, is like with the health and all that, it's like remove the barriers, right? If you want to get healthy and you keep eating the Twinkies, well, don't have Twinkies in the house, or right? Just then don't stop at the convenience store. Like it's actually not that hard if you actually itemize and see what you want to improve and see where you're wrong, like what you could fix. So that's my two.
Yeah.
But again, it actually starts with a deep breath. Okay, what's my present state? This is my present. What can I control? And recognize that and go from there.
Yeah.
A lot of everything you teach, Tom. That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's so interesting because having the list to making the choice to make it easier. It's like the worst thing you could do is not eat all day and then come home and have bad food in your house because all of a sudden you're gonna have that one chip and no one just eats one.
Each one.
Eat just one. That's an extremely challenging idea, but if you don't have the chips in the house, you're consistently eating throughout the day, you're hydrating, you're moving. All of these things do take care of themselves, but it comes down to choice because the easier choice is not to, but the better choice is to do it and then prepare to make the choice even easier as time goes on. So totally agree with that. Anybody else have anything on there?
Tom, getting back to your word, and I'm gonna probably blow this one. What did you say? Momente mori,
Memento mori.
memento mori.
Yeah.
It gave me a flashback to around fourth or fifth grade. Okay, I went to parochial school,
Ah,
taught by nuns,
Hmm.
and their message to you was always be ready to go.
yeah.
Always have a clean soul, clean conscience.
Wow. I
Be,
mean,
be be prepared, man.
Where'd you go?
St. Michael's in Scranton.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I went to Transfiguration and Holy
Yeah.
Trinity.
So you remember that, huh?
Yeah, I also remember nuns are supposed to be nice, but man, if you got your hand slapped with a ruler, They'll do that to you.
So it's, I think it gets down to, you better be ready, readiness.
Always be ready to go. I don't think there's a more powerful quote that we could have throughout this course. I mean, that is it. It's funny because my dad went to parochial school, and he always said, he's like, you get your hand slapped, and then you come home, and if your parents or heard that you got your hand slapped, you are getting your butt kicked from them because those
Oh,
nuns
yeah.
never did something you
So,
didn't deserve.
so there's some spirituality in what you had to say, but yeah, it gave me a flashback.
Yeah. No, but it's so true, and it's such a powerful, blunt way to say it. Like I mean, memento mori even that's blunt, but that's at least a little bit more elegant. But be be prepared there is no doubt about it. That's 100% in. And then again, that does give you this idea of living and maximizing your best life right now, so that even if tomorrow doesn't come, you're not living there in regret. You're doing everything you can. It's not that you're not going to miss maybe moving on or whatever your ideas of faith in the afterlife and all that other stuff, but like the idea is that if you can maximize this moment, this day, you lived it, you're in it, and you've done everything you can, I
All you
think
could do.
it's all you can do, right? So appreciate that. I'm gonna make a post of that. It also is the motivation for action. We just said this, and then my thing is I have a reminder which I would love to show you right now, which I'm blanking on where the heck that thing is. So not good way to deal with it. Control the controllables. This is a thing that we talked about before, but it is all about that agency that we have in our life. What we're trying to do is we're trying to directly the energy that you have into the things that you can influence and control. And so we talked about this early on in Flux Vita, but it's all about attitude and action. These actions, there's a ton of them that are going on, but they all are. You got to remember, it's all coming from internal. It's all coming from the things that you can do. It's all coming from the areas where you have some level of control. But it always comes down to the fact of action. And this is an important point that I do want to make sure that we really address is that everything's about action. This isn't about being passive and sitting there and having a strong mind. There is no just passively having a strong mind. It's to Rhonda's point. It has to be intentional. When you get up in the morning, you intentionally got to put the right thoughts in your mind. You have to intentionally eat the right things. Just to what Raz was saying, to Joe's point, like every day living without regret is making sure that you're taking action to do the things that you want to do. And so everything that we're trying to do is understand it's about an action oriented course. This is how you live your life. You don't sit back and take what life gives to you. You end up putting yourself into the situation. And then when the situation doesn't work out, ideally, you adapt to it. And then you overcome it and you just continue to keep moving forward. But when we talk mindfulness, so many times people talk about just sitting there and doing breath work and try to, meditate. All great stuff, but there's much more levels to it. There has to be much more. You need to get out there and actually put yourself in that right system and create the right system around it. Pulling through this, gratitude, I just cannot emphasize it enough. I think it's the secret sauce to all of this. It's making sure that we're having that mindset of what gratitude is. I will emphasize a big point here that gratitude is the quality of being thankful and showing the appreciation for the good things in our life, both big and small. And this is what it comes down to is where our focus is. Where do we focus on? What are we focusing on in our life? And so when we're looking at making a choice to see the world, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the things that we have in life. So I'm going to do this because I know we're running out of time, but just do this. Just sit in your room and then focus. I want you to do this and look around for anything that is brown, like anything that's brown, right? You can see it. You can move your head even and stuff like that. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. Okay. Close them. Label one thing that's red. You know of anything in there. You could open your eyes again. So the idea is that see any, do you see do you recognize anything when you were thinking about the red parts? Did you see them when your eyes were closed? No, right? Now, is there things in your rooms that are red? Right? And so this is the idea of that little exercise is that it's our minds will focus everything that we want to see in life is in front of us. Everything that we want to see. It's this idea of you buy the brand new car and it's your custom car that you saved up forever with. It has the right color, it has the right wheels. And the second you pull it off the lot, all of a sudden you recognize the same car. Like it looks identical. And that's the way life is. That's the way that I just believe that we view the world. If you want to see kindness and you want to see love and you want to see the world with gratitude, or you want to see the world with more negative emotion, from jealousy to just anger to just really some negative stuff, both of them are present, but it's up to us where we choose to focus them. So every morning that we get up get up and we get the idea of having gratitude to really be able to, hey, say, I got breath in my lungs. We could choose to look at the things in our area, in our lives that we don't have. We could choose to look at the area of our lives that are more negative. Or we could spend a time where we're just grateful for what we have, what we had, and the moments that continue to keep moving forward. But the idea of it all is making sure that we know with action, with the control, we can build that attitude and those actions to be able to decipher what we want to see out of this canvas of life. I didn't even script that, by the way. That just came out.
That wasn't bad.
Right? I mean, that just flowed. Let me bring this
You
up.
just need to take that recording and there's a chapter of your book.
Right? I mean, there we go, huh? Before you get out, this is one thing that I keep going back to. We always do this before you get out of bed. Getting there, reflect on as soon as the feet hit the ground, finding one thing that you can really be grateful for. Each day, change it. I do have a gratitude journal that I write in. I joke in it because I try to label 3 things every day, but every day I can't put Krista, my dog, or coffee because they're kind of the go-to, right? And so every day I got to put something different. But then I thought of this whole idea of like when I don't know if you all have ever had this, but like someone passes that has a journal or a diary, like the first thing you do when they die, you definitely read this thing. And so at least I do. I don't know if that's supposed to be right, but so I thought about it, I'm like, if I pass first, like, and Krista opens up this journal and sees a gratitude journal and it's never her name in there, I'm going to be in some deep shit as goes on. So I put a little pretense in every single start of every journal saying that these are the rules. But the idea is if you write it down, if you focus it, you will continue to keep moving and seeing the world that way. I think this is coming all together. We talked about the focus aspect to it, and this is it. What you focus on is what you'll see. The world is that. There's laws of attraction. This has been shown through a lot of research, but you attract what you want to see. If you want to see positivity, what you put out into the world, you will get that attraction. It will come to you. If you put yourself out there in a more positive space, people will respond to you more positive. And the idea of this, I'm not oblivious to the fact that there's just darn right bad situations, but for the most part, if we put our better foot forward, if we come across as more intentional, more focused, more grateful, and more humble, then we have just a better chance of interacting with more people and creating the world that we want. Bringing us all. Gratitude breath. We talked about this. I use a box breathing technique. I'll go back to this in a second, but what I do is I just do the 4 count in, 4 count pause, 4 count out. So it's not quite box, but it's a 3-3-3. The 4 count is I think of one thing that I'm grateful for. I hold on to it, and then on the way out, I put my hand on my heart and just let that really feel and sink in. And I do that 3 times, and it's amazing the neural connectivity that happens from the body and mind when you start really practicing gratitude. You bring it in, you grant it, you plant it into your body, you anchor it in there, and it doesn't just become words. What it ends up becoming is feelings, and you end up feeling gratitude. And when you're able to do that, you're able to step up to that home plate when the counts You need to hit that ball. You need to get that run in. The count's full. When you're able to be in that state, you're able to be in a state of relaxation, in control, and a state of focus. And in that state, you could do pretty much anything. Last slide is a thank you slide. So this is right here is the remainder. It's the course completely done. 6 weeks of it. I cannot thank you all enough. I cannot thank you for the participation and everything that you've put into it. It's been really, really special. The stories are really, truly remarkable. And I know, Joe, you've gone through one heck of a roller coaster over the last 6 weeks, and we appreciate your vulnerability and then just being so transparent where we're at. But it's amazing to think where we were to what this outcome looks like over the last 6 weeks right now. So a lot of gratitude for you and your family, and
Thank you.
yeah, and many, many blessings forward. So if there's ever anything that I could do for anybody, both on here in the chat, by all means, let me know. I'll send this recap out, let you know, and then we'll continue to keep moving on. I do ask, what I send out is a completely anonymous survey that I'll send over. I'm going to try and get it out either tomorrow or Friday. But that's just basically feedback on this course. And I just encourage you, no kid gloves. Throw it out there. If there was something that you just couldn't stand, by all means, write it. If there's something you really liked, please do that as well. But I really, really value the fact of continuing to make this grow and to do this really for people. I think this is a really fun community to be part of, and we'll keep moving forward.
Is Jason going to be with you next week? Weston coming.
Yep, he said he's coming down. He said he's going to come down to it. So yeah, I think it should be pretty fun.
He's on crutches,
I know. Tore that knee up. He's getting better though. I think he's going to be back here real soon. So
I hope.
he cannot be squatting 500 pounds each and every, like at 47 years old. Raz, you know Weston, the Westons?
No, I don't.
No, they live right around the corner from you, but
Hazelton family. Yeah,
Oh, Westons.
but
Hmm.
I'll see you next week then.
yes, anybody need anything, let me know. I'll have a follow-up email here, but huge amount of gratitude for you all. Enjoy, have fun.
Awesome class, Tom. Thank you.
So much.
Thanks for the invite to this, Tom. The timing in my life couldn't have been any better.
Oh, I love hearing that. Well, you picked us up, Joe. I mean, this has been awesome.
I don't know
It's great
about
to
that.
have you. I'm telling you, the great stories. This is a power crew right here. So we appreciate it. Thank you all. See ya.
Thanks, y'all. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.